when I removed the lambda, or indeed wideband sensor from the left-hand front manifold, partly it's a little bit awkward to have it in there. It was interfering with the engine mounting. It was really tight on the wiring, but also because the ME360 management system only uses one wideband sensor, so if I attach that to only one bank of the engine, okay, so the other bank is probably doing exactly the same thing. But in the end I thought, well, it's a bit of a nuisance, so why not take it out of there? And in fact, as the guy at Motorsport Electronics said, put it on the X-pipe, where the two branches all come together under the car. And I was trying to think about exactly where to put the bung. Here it is. That's the one that I cut off, the threaded part. And could I put it in there or there? It's a bit tight. Then I realised it's obvious. Put it in the side. So that's what I'm going to do now. I've trimmed this back a little bit, so I just need to make a hole in there, and I should be able to weld that in and have my lambda, or indeed wideband sensor back, and it will be monitoring both branches of the exhaust at the same time. So that's what I'm going to do now. So so there we have it. Now my welding probably won't win any awards, but should be functional. Now I'll just clean it up, I think. There. As I say, it won't win any awards for welding, but should do the job, I think. I'll just I'll screw in the original lambda to start with. Yeah, looks good. So my wideband then can go in there. Lovely job. I'm just going to check there's nothing in the way down there. A little bit of a blemish that I'm not quite happy with there. Okay. So there we have it. Okay, wideband in my X-pipe, and the beauty of having it is it's kind of at the top of the pipe, and I can have it left or right, and I can have it high or low, but in fact I'll probably have it high. Keep it out of the way of the road, and then the cable can go into the car using a special plug which I've got on order. So that's the rest. That is the exhaust manifold assembly effectively completed, because this was originally part of that, and I've now put it somewhere else. So I shall actually I should take it off for safekeeping. One of the problems in doing a resto mod, or any kind of mod I suppose actually, is the shortage of off-the-shelf parts. And as I may have mentioned before, the top of the list, or one of the things near the top of the list of parts that aren't available off the shelf for a Gilburn Invader fitted with a Jaguar AJ30 engine, is the exhaust system. Now, these engines were originally fitted with a Ford Essex, which is a 130 horsepower thereabouts V6 engine, and the chances of the exhaust from that fitting onto this one are, well, basically zero. Not only is the exhaust manifold different, obviously, but the size of the exhaust required for a 3-litre engine of a modern type is likely to be way bigger than the any kind of exhaust you might find for an Essex. So I've had to cobble something together, I think is the word. So we've already got the exhaust manifold, which you should be able to see over here hanging down. Let's see if I can point that out. Up here, the exhaust manifolds. Well, my point, I can't tell what I'm pointing at. Oh. Something's fallen on me. Ah, yes. Yes, this is the bottom of the exhaust manifold coming down. But this part, of course, has been an unknown quantity. And, well, I say an unknown quantity, but look, it's sort of coming together. Ignore the fact that it's lying on the floor over there. That's because it's not got any hangers yet. Now, of course, if you're going to get a custom exhaust system made, let alone manifolds, the chances are it would cost thousands. And not only that, but having specified such an item for someone to make, if it didn't fit, or some defect, ground clearance, I'm thinking in particular, anything really, if there's anything wrong with the design, effectively it's down to you. So I don't really want to spend thousands. Well, I've already avoided doing that regarding the manifold, because of course I've used a modified Mondeo V6 manifold that I bought second hand on eBay. So how have I gone about getting a actual exhaust system, sort of, nearly-ish? And funny enough, I've gone for Mondeo again, but in this case I've chosen the exhaust from a 2-litre, might have been a diesel actually, not sure, but of course being a V6 it needs 2 of them. Now just let me clear up my mess here when I've knocked something over while talking to you. That's better. So yes, 2 Mondeo V6. Now you would think that half a V6 3-litre is probably about 1500, and therefore each bank, when fitted with a 2-litre exhaust, should be plenty. And that's really the principle that I've been working on. Now I need to make the other side. I've already spent some time making the side that you've seen the almost-ish completed version of. But I'm going to demonstrate what I did to achieve that, or most of, I should say, what I did to do that. So here is the Mondeo 2-litre exhaust system. I think it may be the back section. Hard to tell really. But of course it's made of various bends and so on. and basically I'm going to cut it up and put it together in a different shape. And I've done this before, at least one occasion, and it worked out really well, so I'm going to do that again. And yeah, so what I'm going to do, having spent time off camera, if you like, designing the side that's already down there, basically I'm going to make a mirror image. So before I can cut this one up, of course I need to get the original out, so work out where my cuts need to be. And at this point I will just mention the silencers in the middle here, no good. The ground clearance is under the Gilbert knob, very restrictive, so I'm going to go with a silencer under the rear boot floor. Anyway, that's a side point. Let me get this thing out. As you can see, we have an X-pipe. Now the X-pipe is, well, what I didn't mention is I bought various parts in addition to the Mondeo part. Basically all of these bits. A flexible joint, a bit of straight there. This X-pipe, I just said that, a couple of 90-degree bends to make this S-shaped thing. So what we're talking about really is the back part. Let's see if I can get it out. Here it is. Okay, so this is what, can you see that? No, you can't. So this is what I made, and what I need is another one of these, mirror image. In fact, I say mirror image, but in fact I think, yeah, it's symmetrical, so it's basically another one of those. So the first things to do, I think, are to cut the tailpipe section off, or what will be the tailpipe section, and we'll go from there, basically. So I might make it as similar as possible. There we go. I'm not bothered about the tailpipes being slightly different. Okay, could have been a bit neater, I suppose, but this is basically a prototype. If it works well, one day I could end up getting a nice one made, stainless and all that. I'm not sure what this is, but I'm pretty certain it isn't stainless. Anyway, right, so we've got the silencer is going to go at the back. So now I think I need a bigger cutting disc. Now, copying the cut here, and I have noticed, I just say it's going to be a copy, of course it does need to be a mirror image because the silencer is offset, and I chose it that way around for a reason, so I shall cut it in the same place. Okay, so we are going for a mirror image, so I'm going to turn this over. Okay. Right, so now I can emulate this part. By the look of it, this is a slightly less than 90-degree section, so it needs to go on here. Although in order to do that I need to straighten up that cut. Okay, that's not too bad. Now this here is obviously needs to be 90 degrees and it isn't, so that's going to need to be cut as well. So yeah, I think just compare that. Ah, right. What I hadn't noticed was this slight kink here. Okay. Interesting. Of course, there's a million ways to skin a cat or whatever. Doesn't need to be exactly the same. Just because that has a kink, it doesn't mean this one has to have one. But this does need to be 90 degrees in the end. Unless I use this part to provide this kind of equivalent here. Well, I don't need this flange, so I shall cut that off. Just adding confusion to the situation. I shall be keeping that though. You never know. Alright. Yeah, I think I might as well mimic the end of this as much as possible. Which means straightening out this cut. Okay, that'll probably do for this first section, so I'm going to weld that on now. Yeah, I think I'm going to weld it on now. Yeah, that'll do. So I'll do that first, join up then. Alrighty. Can you see the flaw in my argument, if you like? Yes, I need the bit over there, don't I? That might be because I cut the flange off in a slightly different place this time. Oh well, not to worry, I shall just put it back on again. It's like that. So we're going to join those two pieces together. Right, so I'm just going to clock this correctly. And I can see some trimming is going to be needed. So that bit and that bit need to be joined up. Okay. We'll come back to the silencer in a moment. Right, I'm just going to tack these together. Don't you just hate it when that happens? Ah, enamel welder stopped working. Oh bum, my welding wire has actually run out. So I'll be back to this before long, I suppose. So this is very much like a jigsaw puzzle. I've got some new welding wire. So I'm just going to, well, if you can follow it, if you want to follow it, please do. I'm just doing a bit of cut and butt stuff going on, so we'll see how that works out then. I'm trying to replicate the shape that I have on this side. Of course, there's no guarantee that this side is correct, but you've got to start from somewhere, and I think that one of my objectives is to get the engine running actually, and it doesn't actually matter if the exhaust system is laying on the floor at that point. So as I say, start from somewhere. Anyway, I'm now going to cut this piece off and join this piece on. So after all that, I've got this thing here which is a bit rough and ready in places, but it'll certainly do as a prototype, proof of concept, etc. And even more especially considering, obviously I'll have to modify it because it just will have to be, won't it? So I've got kind of 3/4 of it here. But I'll need to do the side going to the other part of the engine, so that's that. But not only that, because I haven't quite decided how the exhaust is going to come out from the rear. I think it's going to come out through the rear valance down here, but that requires a level of detail which I'm not quite ready to do at the moment. So I think for now this lot will be resting on the floor, and I'll have to deal with that later, not least because up here is a female joint. Over here, when I've done it, will also be a female joint, and effectively, considering these are going to go through the rear valance, they're female as well. So all the joints are female, so there needs to be a join somewhere in here which is not female, otherwise I'll never be able to fit it to the car. Now luckily I've got these original flanges, and to my surprise those simple things, okay, the flat plate rather than the whole thing, is about £10 each on eBay. And I need 4 of them. So once I've cleaned these up, removed this or whatever I decide to do, maybe I'll join it onto the pipe. So these effectively are worth £10 each. So yeah, I still will need another couple of them. But anyway, these are details I'm not quite ready for just yet. So my objective today is simply to get that X-pipe connected to both sides of the engine with the flexi, which is just there, and these will be resting on the ground for the moment. As you can see, they're not quite the same as each other. Yeah, this one, I did this one first, and kind of the one I've just been making is actually slightly more of a regular shape. Oh well, whatever, we will have to see about that. But one thing at a time. So now I'm going to have to separate the X-pipe up there, because we obviously know these go on, but I'll need this bit to go onto the X-pipe, and also to go onto the equivalent section of the exhaust manifold header, which will be up here somewhere. So let's do that. And so my last welded joint, for now anyway, is marked out by this pink mark, which you might be able to see here, and basically is exactly the same as the other side. So cut and join is the way forward. So here's my S-bend, which I shall now try to offer up all the way under the car. we'll see how that works out. Well, that looks fine actually, with a slight tendency for these, luckily for these joints here, they sort of get away with a multitude of sins really. Slight tendency for this to be pushed over to one side. And all I can see is a gap there. I think this needs to be shortened slightly. Obviously that needs to be welded up properly. I'll probably cut a little piece off of here, off of here, or off of here actually. It all melts the same thing. No, it's going to be here. In fact, that's where it's going to be. So I can't get enough. Yeah, I don't know really. I might leave it for now actually. Possibility something needs to be cut slightly there. And that wasn't properly pushed home, I've just noticed. Alright, so I'll rejoin, or I'll join that. I'll join this. And that'll be do. That'll be do. That will do for my prototype system. In fact, it can all be bolted together, albeit with the back end lying on the ground, because I can't really get around to doing the rear valance at the moment, and there will have to be some kind of joining flange to enable it to be put together. So somewhere it's going to have to be cut and rejoined somewhere. Anyway, I'll come back when I've done all that, and we'll see where we are. I'll take that off. Okay, so back in a moment. So there we have it. Not too hot, I hope. That should just push onto there. There we go. Okay, so yeah, this bit is symmetrical. This bit here is longer than this one because that's how the exhaust manifolds are on the engine, and the reason for that is to avoid the starter motor on the right hand side, so it goes down. Anyway, I'm pretty confident that that's now going to go on, and it will certainly do for a Mark 1. It'll do for now type of attempt. Now these, I will say that these what ought to be swaged bits here are not. They're actually just a piece of tube that's been cut open and stretched around, which means there's a gap. So that will also have to be sorted out, but that can wait till later as well. So yeah, I'll come back to that. So now I'll fit the whole thing onto the engine and see how it looks. Oh. Now, as I said, there's just a tendency for this one to push the centre line over towards you. It's about an inch, which probably equates to half an inch or something. So I think I might just take a little bit off this one. The tailpipes are dangling on the ground over there, which obviously means that the whole thing tends to go downhill slightly. But as I said, I'm not really ready to put those through the rear valance, which I need to do. But basically, that is it. Certainly for the time being, anyway. Ah! So how much did it cost? How long did it take? And compare that with getting a professional to do it. Let's see now. The two Mondeo exhausts are, I think they're about 70 odd quid each. It's 140. The X-Pipe was 50, I think, or thereabouts, so that's 190. Two lots of S-bend probably came to 60 quid, so that's 250 for the exhaust system itself. And then the manifold, and the flexi bit, they're about 10 quid each, so 270 all in, albeit it's taken me, actually not that bad, it's taken me, 2 whole days. 2 whole days, yeah, 2, well, I call it 3 if we're rounding. Yeah, so 3 days of my time, but that's free, isn't it? So, and the exhaust manifold, that was a modified Mondeo V6, it was about 150, and that probably a similar sort of time, negligible parts on that actually. So that was, probably got the whole thing done. The whole thing done in terms of parts for around about 600 quid, 270, 550, could be 500 quid actually. Yeah, let's call it 500 quid plus my time. And I think that compared to getting a professional to make a system from scratch like this, that would have been, it could have been 10 times as much, to be honest. So I'm pleased. I've still got to sort out my rear valance where the tailpipes will go out, and I've still got to sort out some hangers as well. But in terms of the basic concept, I mean, it's there and it doesn't encroach too much on the ground clearance, which is a bit limited on this car anyway. So yeah, must get those rear sections sorted out. But that will do for now on the exhaust sub project. If you got as far as this, thanks very much for watching. And in case you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. That would be really encouraging for me. So catch you on the next one.